Good day, guys. So, right here we have probably the biggest, one of the biggest Marvel Hot Toys figure ever is, and that is Gladiator Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. So, Ragnarok or Gladiator Hulk is another quintessential figure that is sought after because he's a bit of an oddball. You can argue that while he looks like a version of Hulk who is moonlighting as a cosplay gladiator in those Las Vegas joints, he comes with the most accessories compared to his other iterations. Add that with the fact that one of the best Hulk stories in the comics was World War Hulk, where he was a gladiator. It is no surprise that Gladiator Hulk is a top pick for most collectors when it comes to looking for their representation of the Incredible Hulk. Now, the thing with Hulk is that all of his iterations are expensive. Well, all of them except for the current one, the Endgame one, Professor Hulk, probably because he is readily available and is a lot smaller in size compared to the other Hulks. Every other Hulk screams shelf presence. Basically, just look at him right now. That is shelf presence. Hulk just hits both rare key points of being a very popular superhero and being really, really huge at that. You would be hard pressed to find another hero apart from the Hulkbuster as big or gigantic as he is. It also goes that Gladiator Hulk fetches for a crazy price. That's why we're reviewing him right now. I have heard that 580 US dollars is a fair price for him, but getting him at that price is getting harder and harder every day. Maybe because of the size. Luckily, I got him at $460, but it's in Philippine pesos because that's where I am right now. And before that, I had two or three other offers who was selling him for around that price too. Uh, he comes in a very huge form factor, so a big part of his price probably in the US is because of the shipping, and I don't have to deal with that in the Philippines. That's why I can get him for a lower price. So I've gone through the economics of why he is expensive. I mean, I wish I could bring the box right now, but it really wouldn't fit. Trust me, I have a really big light box and it wouldn't even fit the Hulk box. I mean, it would, but it would take a lot of time. So, as I previously mentioned, he comes with a Hulk. Actually, even though he has the most accessories, it's also very few compared to other characters. Uh, he does not. He comes with this, as pictured here. He comes with this very big weapons, and you can take off most of his armor, except for the straps, but his gauntlets, I mean rather his gloves, I mean his wristbands, I mean you can take that off, and the shoulder armor, you can take those off, and he could be a more vanilla looking Hulk except for the weird gladiator skirt, but you know it's better than him wearing those torn pants, right? So because of this things, this really really big weapons and accessories, he has a few downsides that come with him. Uh, First is because of, apart from the weapons, I mean the size himself makes it that he has very limited posability. His size and articulation is very limited, and you can't do a lot of dynamic fighting poses with him as he appears in the movies, like something as simple as a front kick. That's very hard for this Hulk to do. Second, I mean his size. I mean, yeah, I keep on mentioning that, but a big part of why he is sought after is his shelf presence. But I am also convinced that the reason why people are letting go of him is because he just takes up a lot of shelf space. With the length of his weapons and his height, I think you could fit 2 or 3 characters in his place, and most people, they would rather have that. And then a third downside for him is that he might seem out of place for most displays unless you pair him with other Ragnarok characters. But if you just want a representation of Hulk, it might seem a bit off that you pose him with the Avengers and he's wearing his gladiator skirt and his gladiator sandals, which you can take off. I'm gonna show the sandals a bit. Okay. So you can see that. And since we're down in the legs, I mean, we might as well talk about my real gripe about this Hulk figure. The seams in his knees. They haven't solved that. So when I see the pictures, I never notice it. But when I had it in hand, I have to admit I was a bit taken aback that it's very exposed. I wish he came with knee pads that would have covered those seams, but they tried to be movie accurate, so they didn't have a chance to cover it up. So let's bring him up again to the good part of the display. Yeah, because if you don't notice the knees, he's as impressive as they come. So if you're gonna ask me, is he worth? I mean, is he worth the price? I mean, I've mentioned his disadvantages, and I mean, is he just too overpriced right now at $580 US dollars minimum? And honestly, for a collector like me, the answer is a big no. He's not overpriced at all. It's a thing to note that Gladiator Hulk comes with very rare accessories. As a matter of fact, I cannot think of any weapon Hot Toys has made that is very similar to the feel and weight of Hulk's hammer and axe here. And add that with a very, very well-made Gladiator helmet. And of course, another head sculpt, which I'm gonna show you. Okay, wait a bit. This is his second head sculpt. I'll try to focus on it. Okay, there we go. That's his second head sculpt, the angrier looking one. Oh, sorry there. Almost bumped into him. Which I think is fair enough. So, okay, repositioning again. I'm working in a really tight space. So, it comes with those rare accessories, a very well-made Gladiator helmet. Let's focus on that a bit. It's very well made. I'm impressed with the horse hair or the hair on top of the helmet. It's just very well made. I would normally rate the head sculpts as something that is a factor that affects the price, whether how well made it is. But the thing is, Hulk is a 100% CGI character, so his features might come off as something based on a computer design and not an actual person. I mean, yes, he resembles Mark Ruffalo. Of course, that is where he is based after, the same way Thanos is based after Josh Brolin. But it's still a CGI character, so I couldn't really rate it. I'd just say that head sculpts like this are average, especially the expression. It's a piss-off expression, and Hot Toys don't have a shortage with piss-off looking characters. They're very good at it. The ones where they have problems are usually the smiles and the smirks. Yeah, so this one's an angry face, and so it's average. Let's just say it's average. So the best part of the Gladiator Hulk is that he would mostly likely remain and stay the same forever, because he isn't made with leather parts, nor does he have any intricate glue work on his armor. As a matter of fact, his gladiator garb, it feels a bit cheap being plastic, but is offset by the fact that this figure will not fall apart if you just take basic care of it. However, while doing this video and trying to pose him, I found a few disadvantages. If you see earlier reviews, like Justin's reviews, he said that getting those weapons into the arms, into the hands, the gripping hands, they were very hard. In my case, they were very loose. So it goes that those grips, they're gonna get loose over time, and it's a friction fit. So there might come a time that you have to pose your Hulk like I'm doing right now, because a while ago I was trying to pose him differently, and those battle axe, that heavy battle axe, it just kept on falling down. So it's very loose right now. So it's gonna happen sometime, especially if you keep on removing, taking it off and putting it on back again. In my case, I got it used, so I don't know what the old owner did with this, but I'm not sure he really took care of it. But he arrived in a decent condition. And another thing I must mention is that it's very hard to articulate Hulk. You see the seams in his arms where it connects to the body, that one. If you keep on fiddling with that, there's a lot of friction in the rubber. And since I owned a Venom pool, which also has the same mechanism, the paint of my Venom pool started rubbing off, exposing like the paint underneath. So I'm thinking that if you keep on messing with it, articulating this figure more than you should be, articulating it, something's gonna happen. Friction is gonna do something to it. It might, discolor a rubber, or maybe, I'm really hoping that it won't take off a part of it. So while but for the most part, it's gonna retain its value. And I usually discourage anyone from treating a hobby as some sort of an investment. But Gladiator Hulk is the type of figure you could get below market price, like I did, and you could sell it for a small profit in the near future, because you can just keep it in the box, and as long as you don't put it anywhere crazy, it's not gonna get damaged or anything. I mean, the most probable thing that's gonna get damaged there is the horsehair. If it gets smashed by something and it gets deformed, I mean, that's the only thing that there's a chance of being damaged if you just leave it in its big box. So I also think that it's gonna hold his value really well, because there's not a lot of versions of Hulk. I mean, there's gonna be future versions of Hulk, that's for sure. But for the more exciting ones, I couldn't think of any design that could beat this, because this is one of the best looking Hulks there is. So maybe unless they come up with a Maestro, or a really retro Queen Studios, something like that, Edward Norton version of Hulk with more advanced engineering, I think that's the only way that this Hulk is gonna get beat. But other than that, this the Gladiator look is one of the best Hulk looks ever. It's really hard to think of another scenario where Hulk is gonna look more badass, even if you put leather pants and shades on him or something, which would be really it might be cool. I might be into it. For now though, he's the best Hulk we have. And as I said before, you can take away portions of his armor and weapons and pose him fighting with Hulkbuster, just for him to be a more normal representation of Hulk. Of course, I could not really articulate him while making this video, because he barely fits into the light box as it is. Putting his head sculpt on and his what do you call that, his helmet on is also a lot of work, because you might scratch up the sculpt if you're just very careless about it. So while we're at it, I forgot to show you the accessories that he comes with. It's really not a lot. But just for the sake of this video, I'll show it. I have it here. Okay. Sorry for the noise if you're gonna hear some weird noises or something. Okay, that's all the accessories it comes with. These are parts of his head sculpt. You have to take this off to put on the helmet. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you have to take off parts of this and trade it with these parts to put on the helmet. I don't know why they did this head sculpt differently. Maybe because of the hair, because this one has longer hair and the one I'm using now has shorter hair. And these are just hands, open hands, which you can use if you want a more vanilla Hulk pose. But you know, the beauty of this figure is that this is gonna be the pose that you're gonna end with forever, unless you need more space. So if you're gonna ask me, would I ever get him again? If I sell him, and would I ever get him again? So I'm not sure, but all I could say is that I would not spend crazy amount of money on him, like $800, $1,000. I won't spend that money on him. But you know, depends on the other ones. If the other Hulks also rise in price to that amount, which I clearly doubt, I would only buy him for a certain price and not more. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a preference thing. So that's it. The pros and cons and my review of this Gladiator Hulk after the hype has gone down. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something. Give me feedback, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. I'll try to make more videos. I mean, this is just a personal thing for now, but what the hey, I enjoyed making it. Thanks for hanging out with me.